guys, welcome to Spark IB Biology. So we will be starting with chapter 6 human physiology as it is one of the most important topics. So we will start off with it and we will go to chapter 1 to 5. So for today we will do chapter 6.1. This is the part 1 for the video. There will be a part 2 video also coming soon. So, first, the important definitions that we will need to know. First, ingestion, the process of taking in food. So, these are all important definitions that you will be learning or you would have learned in your IGCSE or IB before. So, this is just a quick recap of that. Digestion basically process of breaking down the large molecules of food into smaller ones. This is one of the repeated questions, 2 mark questions. Define digestion in your IB paper. Next, absorption. Basically, when the broken down molecules are taken into the body, that is known as absorption. And these broken down molecules which are taken into the body release energy for the chemical reactions in our body and for us to stay healthy. So, this process is known as assimilation. These are the 4 definitions that anybody would have learned from grade 6. Next, ejection, excretion, and emesis. We'll start with emesis. So, emesis is basically vomiting in technical terms. It's basically expelling something from the mouth. Next, ejection and excretion. One of the most repeated questions, like the digestion definition question. The difference between ejection and excretion. So, ejection is basically the discharge or the expulsion of undigested food or material from a cell or the body. It is basically our digestive system, whereas excretion is basically a process in which the metabolic waste is eliminated from an organism, basically through our lungs, our kidney, our skin. Example, the urethra and the urinary system. So, those are all excretion. So, excretion is basically urine or sweat or carbon dioxide, whereas ejection is basically the food and the feces. So that is the difference between ejection and excretion. So we will start off with the 2 types of digestion, which is the main thing that we would have seen from grade 6. This is again a very small recap. So mechanical digestion is basically breaking down food, large molecules of food to smaller ones physically, whereas chemical digestion uses enzymes for it to break down into smaller particles. So example is in the mouth, we have the teeth where there is mechanical digestion where you break down large food molecule to smaller one. And for chemical digestion in the same mouth, we have the salivary amylase in the saliva that breaks down the starch into maltase or maltose. So this is the difference between mechanical and chemical digestion. Next, we have the anatomy of the digestive system, which is one of the most important things that we need to know, and this is the thing that we're going to concentrate in this part 1 video. So, alimentary canal is basically the long tube, the full path of our food into the body. Next, we have the digestive organs and the accessory organs. So, these are just a list of the organs. We will be seeing them in detail in the upcoming slides. So we'll start off with the mouth. So the mouth and the salivary glands. As per IB, we do not need to know the teeth. We do not need to know the name of the salivary glands. I've just put it up in the slides. And so the mouth basically controls what we eat, how much we swallow, and everything. It contains the teeth, which break down food mechanically into smaller particles, and it contains saliva, which is a very good lubricant and lubricates the food, and it also contains amylase, which breaks down the starch. It also has the tongue, which pushes the food. So after this digestion work of amylase, it's known as the bolus. So I'm going to use the term bolus after this. So the tongue moves the bolus down through our esophagus. So between the stomach and the esophagus, we have a small flap known as the pharynx, which controls the movement of food through the esophagus and out through the trachea. It ensures the food doesn't move through the wrong way and moves only through the esophagus. Next, we have the esophagus, which basically connects the mouth and the stomach. So the food moves or the bolus moves through the esophagus through a process known as peristalsis. Peristalsis uses 2 muscles, the circular and the longitudinal muscles. So the contraction of one muscle and the relaxation of the other allows the food to move down through the esophagus and down to the stomach. And peristalsis doesn't only happen in the esophagus, but it also happens in the stomach and the intestines. Signals do not come from the brain, it comes from a spinal cord, that is ANS. We will be learning about this in 11.1, which is not there for SL. Next, stomach. Stomach helps in the churning and mixing of food with water, acids, and enzymes. So it's a U-shaped organ, and it contains acid hydrochloric acid of pH 2, which kills bacteria and other pathogenic substances in the body. It also provides an optimum temperature for protease, which is an enzyme that breaks down proteins in the food. So this is the stomach. And then we have the small intestines. Small intestines is basically divided into three parts: the duodenum, jejunum, and the ileum. So the duodenum is known as the mixing bowl, where all this enzymes and the juices from the pancreas, the bile, everything mixes. So the bile also neutralizes the acidic condition, as the bolus or the food that is digested in the stomach comes from pH of 2, and then it moves through the small intestines, where all the proteins, carbohydrates, nucleic acids, lipids, everything is broken down. Then they're absorbed by the villi. So we will see the structures the villi in the next slide. So the villi. So as I said, the villi are small hair-like projections, basically, that absorb the food. So villi is made up of four layers. You have to know the four layers, which are the serosa, mucosa, submucosa, and mucosa. So we need to know to label these four layers, and we need to know the adaptations. Adaptations are the most important part, and this comes as 6 to 8 marks questions. So adaptations basically are, they're very thin, so they are only one cell thick, and they have like projections which reduce the surface area for absorption, and they have microvilli which are even smaller that increase the surface area for absorption. And they also have lacteals, which are tiny lymphatic vessels that absorb the fatty acids and glycerol. They also have blood capillary, the both artery and vein on both the sides, which absorb the glucose and amino acids in the body. So these are all the adaptations of villi for better absorption. This is a definite question. Next is the pancreas. The pancreas releases pancreatic juices, which basically travels through the pancreatic duct to the small intestines. Pancreas are below the stomach, which are a leaf-shaped gland. They secrete the pancreatic juices, which contain lipase, amylase, and protease to break down lipids, carbohydrates, and proteins. Then the liver and the gallbladder. Liver is one of the biggest gland which is there present in the digestive system. They produce the bile, which secretes surfactants to break up lipids, and bile neutralizes the stomach acid. Bile travels through the gallbladder and is stored there. It doesn't travel, and it doesn't directly travel to the small intestines. It goes to the gallbladder, is stored there, and from there the bile duct carries it to the small intestines. Next is the large intestines. Large intestines help in the reabsorption of water and for the digestion of carbohydrates or starch, which do not digest very easily. We'll see about starch in part 2 of this video, and it forms feces, and it is stored in the rectum, and it is digested, and this feces is stored in the rectum, and digestion happens through the anus. Next are enzymes. Enzymes are biological catalysts which speed up the digestion. Basically, catalyst is anything that speeds up reaction by decreasing the activation energy. So these are biological catalysts which digest the big macromolecules into smaller ones. So these are examples like starch that is digested to maltose by amylase in the mouth. So you have many enzymes that happen, many enzyme activities in our digestive system. So these are some example of the substrate, enzyme, and the product. The main thing that we need to remember is this beautiful graph here. It shows about the enzyme and the activity in each part of our digestive system. So this is the part one video. I hope you like it. And for more videos and for part two, please stay tuned to Spark IB. Thank you so much. For any doubts, clarification, please let me know in the comment box below. And thank you so much.